Today's question: what's a harmless habit you had as a kid that turned out to be a red flag in hindsight? Dermatillomania. I shredded my cuticles and lips. I think I subconsciously believed things would be better if I could make myself flawless. Unfortunately, I'm almost 50 and still do it. It's soothing and stressing at the same time. It's like everything will be okay once my lips are smooth. Lip balm stops me for a while but makes it worse long term because it makes my lip skin easier to remove.
Retreating to my room and hiding in fictional worlds like video games and reading instead of talking out my emotions due to emotional childhood neglect. Now, as an adult, my first instinct is to hide and self-preserve when I have an issue, and it's been a struggle to make myself open up and communicate in a healthy manner. I try to make it a point to go after my kids and talk to them when they're upset, after letting them cool down if needed, instead of ignoring them in their rooms and assuming everything is fine when they finally emerge later. Getting super attached to anyone I felt any hint of a connection with, to the point of it being quite creepy and unhealthy. Lost several friends over it who were not amused, to say the least. Every time I found someone I thought I could be friends with, I latched on with an iron grip, and that person would become my obsession of the moment. I spent years trying to overcome this part of myself, and deep down inside, I know the tendencies are still there. Thus the reason why I now choose to remain aloof from all but a chosen few people. I never want to get that way with anyone ever again. I look back now and cringe hard at what I put people through growing up. I realize now it was undiagnosed ASD and abandonment attachment issues from never quite fitting in, being excluded from my peers and moving around a lot.
Fantasizing and daydreaming. It's all nice until I dissociate in the middle of driving and almost crash. I do it less now that I started therapy and am rediscovering myself. But my daydreams used to make me cry. I would come out of my room with swollen eyes and everyone would wonder what happened. But it was just because I visualized a heartbreaking imaginary scenario. When I was younger, I also had this one foot in a daydream. Whenever something overly exciting or intense happened, I would slip into it. Even if I just watched a great movie, I would slip into a daydream. It got to the point where it wasn't just a coping mechanism anymore, but a habit. And I started doing it just because I was used to it. Being able to read people's emotions and adapt very quickly. There is a difference between cognizant of the emotional experience of others and being empathetic and holding space for that, and being hypervigilant due to trauma and erasing your whole self in the process to the point where nobody actually knows who you are. And even if you have valid points of concern, it's buried under mountains of people, pleasing behavior and indirect surfacing of your concerns. You will forever feel like your needs are getting unmet. But that's because since you never felt yourself worthy of having needs, you create confusion and ambiguity for others. Most of all, you attract people who rely on you to be in that people-pleasing space. You can't have boundaries.
I used to discuss on Reddit before, but I would count the number of letters in each word in a sentence when people spoke. Started as fun, ended with me obsessively needing to do it to the point of not taking in the conversation aside from the words to store to count. I would also stack sentences in my brain if I couldn't count quick enough. Luckily, I was oddly smart and self-aware as a teen and saw it was getting out of hand, so I made myself stop. As an adult, I had to stop reading Gia book series as one of the characters did the same, and I started to slip back into it. I have done other compulsive behaviors as well. I am currently going through autism diagnosis process.
Leaving the room in the middle of a conversation. Technically, I still do this, especially if the people I'm talking to you aren't directly talking to me, but after being with my current boyfriend for 7 years and many heartfelt conversations. I've come to realize that the reason I do this is not because I'm bored or anything, but typically because in my teens, if a conversation had gone on too long, it usually resulted in a fight of some kind. Standard ones included hands and shit being thrown. Not sure how to explain it, but I think I picked up on some kind of tonal change or vibe just before the yelling started, so I'd leave before I got dragged into it. The problem is that when people are debating, it gives me a similar vibe, so I still leave even though a fight isn't about to happen.
There's a video of me at about 18 months old at a cookout. I am wearing a little pink dress and running around with a baseball. At one point, I trip and absolutely face plant into the ground. You can hear all the dads in the background suck in air. They have kids and know what a screaming toddler sounds like. Then my dad's voice over them all telling them to watch this. My little toddler self gets up, grabs the ball I dropped, and takes off at a run again. Guess who still, over 40 years later, doesn't know how to run to someone else for help?
Playing mental games with numbers and letters. For example, with license plates, if there were 4 numbers, I had to use all the numbers to get to the biggest number. Let's say 4686. So 8 is the biggest, and in my brain, 6 divided by 6 is 1, and 86 is 2, and 2 times 1 is, times 4 is 8. I gradually added more and more rules, like only using each number once, and other rules. I don't even like math. I failed my way through math as a kid. I also see how many words I can create out of one word on a label or something I see. If I'm talking to someone, I usually try to keep track of what their personal common phrase is and see how often they say it. I do the same while reading as well. Maybe it's all related to ADHD or compulsive behavior because I do it as a comfort sometimes.
Being a picky eater. So much so that I would literally not eat for days rather than eat a food I didn't like. I got yelled at, grounded, spanked, etc. about it. Yeah, I have ARFID, avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. I also have a severe vomit phobia that got so bad a few years ago that I ended up underweight and malnourished with lasting health effects that I am still recovering from 5 years later. The phobia was made significantly worse because of the trauma I have from being forced to eat food I hated or that caused me to throw up or to have allergic reactions that my parents didn't believe me about. They said I was just being picky. Also, I'm autistic and ADHD, but was always told that girls don't have those, so my parents never looked into getting me diagnosed. I just spent years being told that I was lazy, not living up to my potential, too emotional. Essentially, my entire childhood was a giant red flag. Abandoning my sense of self to be whoever I thought I needed to be, even when alone. This all started because I started going to therapy as a kid. I really didn't have issues that required me to be their IMO, and even though the psychologist was great, CBR therapy in general tends not work for me, and it was even more overwhelming as a child since I wanted to do it right and make them happy and prove I was mentally healthy. It led to lots of thought policing, abandoning my sense of self, and basically imagining someone was in my head, imagining every thought and analyzing it. So if I had anything slightly that I thought could be criticized, I forced myself to have an approved thought or feeling. I'm still so messed up because of it, and the worst part was that it was hard for me to even recognize how harmful it was since it got me praise from everyone. I didn't truly let myself have my own thoughts, feelings, and beliefs until adulthood because I was scared of having the wrong ones. If I could go back in time, knowing how sensitive as a person I am now, I wish I would have refused to speak at all the sessions.
For more videos like this, don't forget to like and subscribe.